Boris Johnson is hard at work finding ways to not do any work. He's having a sulk that you could see from space with a naked eye. He's probably spending his vast amount of spare time compiling a list of all of the people whose fault it is that he did all of those things that meant he was removed from the office of World King. Like some sad, aging Hollywood B-movie star who can't quite get that the reason the phone doesn't ring anymore is because they aren't a very good actor. Still, he can always fall back on dressing up in other people's work clothes and pretending to do their job for a photo opportunity. Maybe before he finally goes, he could pretend to do his job for a photo opportunity.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation, this is LBC.
Let's get back to it.
Bad start. Very, very bad start. There was chaos in Surrey this morning, which is not a phrase that you hear a lot. Chaos in Surrey this morning as hundreds of families woke up to very low water pressure or no water pressure at all.
What?
This was due to technical issues at Thames Water's Netley Mill water treatment works. That's a day after a drought was officially declared. People were pictured in long, snaking queues for bottled water in Cranley Village Way car park, wherever that is. Retired Chelsea and England left-back Graham Lasso, who lives in Cranley, said the station had run out of water by the time he arrived. He was gutted, sick as a parrot, not over the moon, but he gave it 110%, and the lads done great, and it's all credit to the lads and the fans and the manager. Thames Water urged residents to only use water for essential activities, including drinking, cooking, washing, and throwing away, which is what they do. Earlier this week, Thames Water admitted that despite trying to be efficient, that's what they described their efforts. Oh, we're trying to be efficient. Despite trying to be efficient with water usage, the company loses more than 635 million litres of water a year. Nope, that's not right. It's 635 million waters... what's wrong with me? It's 635 million litres of water a month. No, that's not right either. It's 635 million litres of water a day. A day! Meanwhile, it was reported in July this year that Sarah Bentley, Thames Water's boss, will receive a total of £727,000 in 2 single payments. The majority of the payment is part of a £3.1 million golden hello.
Hello?
That's a signing on bonus. £3.1 million as chief executive of the UK's largest water provider, which, remember, loses more than 635 million litres of water per day. Documents reveal that the payment is in addition to her annual salary and bonuses of close to £2 million a year. And they have to pay that much to get the best people. Only the very best people will do. Keep that in mind. OK, texts and emails from last night. Petra says there have been about 700 large houses built in this village. Imagine the water needed for all the cement and the plaster, etc., but no new water reservoir. We haven't built a water reservoir in, 30 years? Something like that. Still, I'm sure it'll work out in the end. I mean, who needs water? Phil tweets, even if Trump was charged and convicted, all he had to do is appeal it all the way to the Supreme Court, where his hand-picked glove puppets will exonerate him. Well, that sounds about right. I have detailed files of Trump's various woes. I'm not going to get into it very much, but I'll just give you an update as to where we are. Donald Trump is besieged by investigations from all sides. Not that he's complaining about it.
I am the most fabulous whiner. And I'm a whiner, and I keep whining and whining.
There was an FBI raid on White House documents, a New York tax probe, a Georgia grand jury on stolen elections, a January 6th inquiry, and even his chief financial officer is in court for tax fraud. Wow. He might not be in jail, but everybody he's ever met is. He is facing investigations in Georgia, Washington, D.C. and New York. His allies have been ordered to appear before a grand jury investigating efforts to influence the result of the 2020 election in Georgia. On Friday, a Trump Organization executive appeared in a New York court, and the House January 6th committee continues to amass evidence. But apart from that, how's it going, Donny?
Oh, shut up!
Yeah, that's what I thought. Your husband's in a lot of trouble, Melania.
I don't care.
She's not bothered. Doesn't care. Sally says, Peppa Pig is totally banned from my daughter's house because, according to her, Peppa is rude, spoilt, entitled and a bully. Who does that remind you of? Says Sally.
Peppa Pig World. Peppa Pig World it has
yes,
Peppa Pig
is the right answer. Very good, Bodge. What are you up to these days? Josh texts, Smog's second Brexit bonus after the Dartford Tunnel signage. You remember Smog? He's an entire human being, like a ghostly hat stand. Like a Third Reich swizzle stick, whose entire job it is to come up with some Brexit bonus. Not to actually create one, just to list them. I mean, that's all he has to do, is to just think of one. And so far, not much. So far, he's come up with the possibility of changing the signage in the Dartford Tunnel from metres to yards. He hasn't actually done it yet, but it could be done if necessary, if he can't think of anything else. Apparently, he has thought of something else, though, Josh says. He said, after the Brexit bonus of the Dartford Tunnel signage, there's the freedom to bottle sparkling wine in plastic bottles. I didn't hear him come up with that. Now, does that sound like a good idea?
No.
Not really. Josh says he didn't mention the fact that a bottle of sparkling wine is under the same pressure as a transit van tyre, which is probably why it ain't put in plastic bottles. He continues to dazzle us with his genius.
I don't know anything.
What was that?
I don't know anything.
One more time?
I don't know anything.
He doesn't know anything. Ian texts, in 1976, Harold Wilson eventually appointed a minister for drought. I think it was Dennis Howells, and a week later it poured with rain. Would this work a second time around, I wonder? No, miracles only strike once in the same place. Don't you know anything? Martin emails, can you give me a mention on your funny show tonight? What do you mean? He says, sometime on LBC, been listening for 4 years. No. but thanks for asking.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Simon says, as an ex-estate agent, I thought I might point out that not only did one of the water companies sell off its reservoirs, it then set up a separate building company to build the houses on those reservoirs as a joint venture with a major homes builder. Wow, really? God, good job that we don't have water in public ownership, eh? I mean, how wasteful we'd be with it. You must always wait for the market to deliver the goods. Paul, and on that subject, Paul says, let's hope the resilient water supply does not get downgraded to robust status or even worse, world-beating. God, wouldn't that be a nightmare?
Oh, no.
World-beating? With this regime, world-beating just means perfectly ordinary. Everything with them is world-beating. And they're always clear about that. They are... And it's going to get even more concentrated from now on. I mean, they only have like 100,000 odd people who don't even necessarily have to live here or pay tax here or vote here. They can be anywhere. You got 25 quid and you can join the Conservative Party and decide who's going to be the next leader of this country. Can you believe that? They don't even have to live here. You and I get no say whatsoever. I mean, I'll assume that you're not one of the red trouser harumphing brigade, those bores who prop up the bar at the golf club. I'll assume that you're not one of those. You or me, we get no choice. We just get what's delivered to us. Ain't life great?
We have never had it so good.
Yeah, what do you mean by we, Liz? David texts, is it okay to fill my swimming pool with my hosepipe if it's for a work event? Good one. Shall I do Rishi's pool? I mean, when I say do, I mean, you know. as his local public swimming pool is closed down because the Conservatives do not care about the little people, not leprechauns. Fishy Sunax lavish £400,000 private swimming pool complex at his North Yorkshire manor house is nearing completion. Oh, I can only dream of having a lavish swimming pool complex. At this moment, washing in the sink seems lavish. Fishy Sunax, the former Chancellor of the Exchequer, is in a race to see who can go lower in order to win the hearts of a group of people that have no soul. And like his nemesis, Mistrust, Fishy is facing questions over how he will deal with the ongoing cost of living crisis, which both candidates referred to directly by saying, "What cost of living crisis? They're doing just fine, thanks very much." The 0.2% of the population that will decide on who is our next dear leader are doing just fine as well. And they absolutely and totally are not interested in you if you're not doing fine. As you will no doubt be a lefty, socialist, woke, militant agitator who has decided to become poor. Probably by deliberately being born to poor parents. You've only got yourselves to blame. Fishy is also building a gym, by the way, in which to tone those muscles that he seems to have got by without needing so far. And he's awarding himself a tennis court too, maybe two tennis courts, at his £2 million Georgian manor near Northallerton, which is one of the cheaper of his many homes. He will have to pay £13,000 a year to keep the new pool warm. So I suppose we should be grateful that it's not Mr. Blobby getting a new pool, because he would find a way to get us to pay for it. Wouldn't you, Budge?
I can't comment on that.
Yeah, he would. You know, Fishy is a former investment banker. Bill! Yeah. He said there was a moral responsibility, and after the word moral, I just wasn't paying the slightest bit of attention, because he has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. Morals? Please, investment banker, tell me more about morals. He said there was a moral responsibility to offer extra help on fuel bills, which, the word's interesting because moral and investment banker have never before appeared in the same sentence. He pledged to give more help to pensioners and those on benefits, while also vowing to cut VAT on energy bills, which he said could raise total support for families to around £700 or £800. Wow, £700 or £800.
Oh, fabulous.
Do you know how much the fuel bill's going to be, Fishy? And after those energy giants were hauled in for talks, as it was described, they gave up nothing. Nothing at all. The bills went higher. They're now saying that by January, fuel bills could be £5,000. How is that even possible? And best case scenario, Fishy is offering £800, which is, of course, the government subsidising the energy giants by giving them £800 that otherwise people might not be able to pay. Because that's what's happening, isn't it? The money is going directly to them. The government isn't doing you a favour. Unless they are being ordered to lower prices, any bung the government gives us is going straight to the fuel companies. So the Tories are actually subsidising the fuel companies, making sure that they have a guaranteed income stream that won't get disrupted by people not being able to pay. The Tories say they hate socialism, but they absolutely love the opposite of socialism, like Robin Hood in reverse, taking from the many poor and giving to the few rich. I mean, at least Liz Truss is blatant about it. I mean, she sees nothing but tax cuts as her method of smashing her way past the flag-waving queues of old duffers in red trousers and ladies in pearls right into number 10. I mean, she's not about handouts to Marxist layabouts who want something for nothing. She's all about right-wing retirees who've gained their wealth by working during a time when pensions were still a thing and buying a property when they were young and just sitting in it while its value went through the roof. I mean, they have actually already got something for nothing. They just don't want you to get any. And the Lizbot accused Fishy of Gordon Brown-style politics. Oh, Gordon Bennett. Really? You remember Gordon Brown, don't you? Yeah, that's it. Gordon Brown-style politics with socialist tax and spend agendas, she said. I mean, that is the nature of these people. Tax cuts will only help the well-off. I mean, the lower the income, the less tax you pay anyway, right? So it won't really help the bottom 90%. and doing anything to actually help them is a socialist tax and spend agenda. I mean, do you require any further proof that these people don't care about anyone but themselves? And they'll do or say anything to acquire and hold on to power. I mean, that is essentially what the Conservative Party is now, a machine designed to capture power. I mean, what else has it done lately? Sunak suggested that Blunder Truss's tax-cutting proposals were not the moral thing to do. He also claimed he would rather lose the contest to become PM than promise false things I can't deliver.
What?
That's what he said. He doesn't seem to understand that the only way a person can become PM is by promising things they can't deliver. And by lying about what they have already delivered. You know, we've never had it so good. Like that. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
What number are you calling from?
I'm calling from 0345 6060 973, and I'm trying to plough through the texts, tweets and emails that I got from last night. There's only 11 pages to go. Until I embark on the ones that have already come in from tonight. Richard texts, the profits of the water, oil and energy companies are obscene, and they should be subject to a windfall tax before any of these profits vanish into offshore tax havens. Well, too late. Are you kidding? It takes a millisecond to squirrel them over there. To an empty building that curiously has 10,000 businesses as its headquarters, and yet nobody goes in there. That's the address they use. It'll be on some godforsaken island with a Union Jack fluttering above the government building. And the local population are dirt poor. Joe texts, Boris is going to bring back pounds and ounces. A Brexit bonus.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Well, I can't wait. Because there's nothing better than, multiplying and dividing by 14. Because that makes perfect sense. Ben tweets, Sir Keir has gone missing, but not in action. He was last seen sitting on the fence. What difference does it make where Sir Keir is? He's not in government yet. Ian texts, they say that the Republicans like Trump because it means that they can be at their worst. I think that's the same for Johnson's sycophants. Sycophants, Zaphod?
So obviously, but I know certainly.
Oh God, it's like somebody starting a car in the cold. Jenny tweets, people don't vote for something anymore. People stopped voting for something after 2016. They became afraid and then just voted as the best of the worst case. What have we become as if Brexit wasn't bad enough? Wow, some of that made sense, Jenny. And I appreciate the parts that did. Martin says, that's what it's come down to, comparing energy prices with France. You have nothing better. Wasn't this the guy, the mouth-breathing knuckle-dragger who last night said, Margaret Thatcher, true Britain, not like you. Good one, Martin. Keep on keeping on. Keep believing. Keep on believing like Journey. Was it Journey? Keep on believing? I'm pretty sure I'm right about that.
Rock and roll!
Never stop. Virginia Water. Hello, Julie.
Hey, Nick.
Julie.
Hi, I love your show.
Thanks.
And my 11-year-old is here with me. We listen to you every night.
11 years old?
When you're on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kills himself with laughter when you're on.
Well, I think that's a nice thing to say. Appreciate it.
Yes, Fishy Sunax. The bunch of them, they should just pack their bag and leave the UK and leave the rest of us to it.
Yeah, why can't they just leave us alone?
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
And Trump, he's a joke. I hope he ends up in jail.
He ain't going to end up in jail, but everybody he's ever met will. But he won't. But everybody he's ever met will. But not him. All right, thanks a lot, Julie. And the 11-year-old. Appreciate it. Mike emails, I know you're an educated gent. Well, I once went to school. I can't say I learnt much, probably because I wasn't really paying attention. It says, you will be familiar with the rhyme of the ancient mariner. I feel we all have an albatross around our necks just now, or am I panicking? An albatross! No, it's just you panicking. I mean, by the way, that's what it has come down to, comparing energy prices with France. You have nothing better. Well, it's a pretty good place to start, don't you think, Martin? I mean, in France, their bills have gone up 4%. Ours, by the time this year is out, will, by many accounts, have gone up 250%. 4% is a smaller number than 250%. I think that's probably true. Comparing energy prices with France, you've nothing better. Well, okay, how about inflation? Our inflation is about half as much again as they're experiencing in France. So I give you that. Chew that over, Martin. Matt emails, I just noticed Truss, who is 2 letters different to Trump. Oh, my God, that's right. Has anybody ever seen them both in the same room at the same time?
No.
Oh, now I am freaking out. Let's have a call in Glasgow. Hello, Robert.
Hello, Nick. Good evening. How are you?
Good, thanks.
It's just a sort of lay on from last night when a chap phoned you and spoke about getting a new house built with solar panels and couldn't take the weeks. And you put it to him that they could be retrofitted after the house was built.
Yeah.
And he decried it. But just to let you know that my house, which is owned by Power Homes, is retrofitted with 12 solar panels, and I only pay £10 a month for electricity, despite all the rises.
Huh. £10 a month?
Yes.
Right. So they don't actually cover all of your needs, or is that down to the standing charge?
No, I pay it. That is a standing charge.
Right, that's what I'm saying. £10 a month is your standing charge. So they're charging you for something that you don't use.
Yes, I don't mind that. It's just that with all the rises and the rest, but that £10 standing charge is paid back to me when the surplus electricity is sold off the grid.
Right, so you make electricity out of thin air, and then you sell it back to them, and then they give you money for it.
Oh, I make it out of sunshine. The solar panels do it. The surplus at the end of each day is sold off back to the grid, and I get the money.
The KASH.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that sounds great.
It is great.
Unfortunately, the only bad thing about them, as far as I can see, is looking at them. They just look awful, don't they? Solar panels, they look dreadful on a house. They absolutely do. Awful, absolutely hideous.
They don't look awful at all.
Okay, then. They don't look awful as long as you don't look at them? Is that what you mean?
Well, if I go outside into the garden, I'm sitting in the lovely warm sunshine in Glasgow today. Yeah.
Really? Lovely warm sunshine? Well, I'll check on that.
It was 34 degrees today.
I find that hard to believe.
Well, you may do so, but I'm telling you, I'm here. It's baking hot.
Well, enjoy it while you can, because it's going to be 63 degrees and raining by Tuesday.
Well, I will. So that's the end of my rant. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll catch you later.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you.
0345 6060 973. I'll catch you later. That sounded like a threat. Are you threatening me? Dinesh emails, did you watch the current Chancellor on the news tonight? He was all over the place. That was from yesterday. And no, I didn't. He was all over the place. He was filling the air with the sound and numbers signifying nothing.
And 1, 2,
3,
11.
No. He said, what is this? He said going on holiday during critical crises was not a problem, as he always works remotely. Even when here, I thought the government was trying to get us all to work from the office. Oh, is this one long email?
Quite possibly.
Quite possibly, yeah. He was then trying to this is like a play-by-play of the Chancellor. He said going on holiday during critical crises was not a problem, as he always works remotely. Yeah, this is despite the government insisting that we all get back to work in the office and not work remotely because, we're very, very bad at that, apparently. It's another rule that only applies to us, not them. He was then trying to justify the importance of his job. He said he was in a very important meeting with industry bosses yesterday. When pressed what he had decided, he said he couldn't make any decisions on helping with energy costs. When the new PM comes in, she will decide on that, he said. How does he know the new PM will be a she? Also, is the Chancellor or is a Chancellor or going to be Liz's puppet? Maybe a little bit of editing before it gets through to me because, much of that doesn't make sense. Oh, well, never mind. You know me, I never complain.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. It's just past 10:30 on LBC. The news headlines with Dan Wilson.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
What in places goes on inside that head of yours?
Best not ask. Haley texts, inspired by emergency, everybody to get from street. I watched The Russians Are Coming. How have I never seen this film before? Bloomin' genius. Thanks, mate, says Haley. No, thank you. I know, great film. Carl Reiner, Alan Arkin, Jonathan Winters. Brilliant.
Emergency, everybody to get from street. Emergency, everybody to get from street.
Patrick texts, I'd love to play a new version of Monopoly where I can buy up utility companies and screw all those posh houses and hotels on Park Lane and Mayfair. Yeah, they won't let that happen. Let's have Wembley. Nat.
Hello, good evening, Nick.
Yes, Nat.
I love your show, 2 nights a week, and I couldn't get enough of you,
Well, appreciate it.
And Nick, the other thing is that we have lots of problems, right? But where do you think the world is heading towards?
Where do I think the world is heading towards?
Yes, I would like to know.
In the short term, probably nowhere good. In the long term, heaven on earth. It just depends on whether we can last that long.
I mean, we've got technology and experts meeting after meetings, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we've got robots.
They can't solve the problems.
Yeah. Right, where are you?
Why is that?
You're asking me? What do I know? All I know is what's on the internet.
I don't have internet, by the way.
You should look up the internet, Nat. You might be on it. You never know.
I'm allergic to internet, you know that?
Allergic to it. Okay. All right. Well, then don't go anywhere near it. In Wembley, you'll be perfectly safe. There's no internet in Wembley. That's just a fact. Thanks a lot, Nat, for whatever that was. Gary says, I watched the TV debate between Fishy and Lizzie. The Tory studio audience didn't look sound. The Tory studio audience didn't look or sound posh or indeed wear pink trousers. They looked quite scruffy. I can't read that. I can't read the last part. You may think that, Gary. I couldn't possibly comment. 0345 6060 973. Frankly, I'm shocked. Swindon. Hello, Carrie.
Hello, is that me?
It sounds like you.
Hello. Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the sun, right? And the
sun?
fact it's so hot. It's so hot, right?
But I've talking about the newspaper or the celestial orb?
The celestial orb.
The celestial orb.
Yeah, but I'd like to talk about the moon, right? The last 3 nights, the moon has been bigger than ever, and not only that, it has been glowing more than ever, right? Which the sun absorbs the light to make it glow. No, the moon absorbs the light to make it glow from the sun. Right. And if it is absorbing that light, it's also emanating that light, which is why it's making it hot at night as well.
Yes.
The global one. This is not a jet stream coming in from Spain. What's come across to this country?
Right.
I don't think.
Okay.
It seems a little bit strange that the moon and the sun is in such position.
So what's your theory then, Carrie?
The theory is that because the moon, for some reason, has got closer to the planet.
Yes.
And the sun, for some reason, is in a position where it is giving more heat to this side of the planet,
right?
So that more sunlight is being directed onto the planet in the night and day.
Well, you're making
we're drying up.
You're making a lot of sense.
Yeah, and just when we had that previous heat wave, when everybody thought that was going to be it, I seem to remember that we were in an alignment with all the planets.
Yes, that is correct. Yes, magnets caused that.
Yeah. Now, something strange about this, right?
Well, you've got that right.
Maybe we should be looking at the alignments of the planets and go back to 1976 as well and see what the alignment of the planets was.
See what the alignments of the planets was in 1976. Well, I think you're onto something there, Carrie. I'll tell you what, I want you to keep an eye on it and give me a full report as soon as something crops up. Promise me you'll do that.
6 years' time, right?
Well, I don't know if I can wait for 6 years. Can I have an interim report sometime next week? Promise.
Well, no. Make a request. Make a request for somebody else to do it.
Oh, somebody else to do it. Oh, right.
Yeah, somebody who's more professional.
You're washing your hands of the entire situation. You brought it up, but you don't want to actually go through with it.
Well, I'm going to research.
You're very, very
more.
busy right now.
I'm going to do more research. I've got more research to do.
Okay, well, that's great. I'll look forward to reading your paper.
Yeah, if it doesn't get...
if it doesn't get published, then we'll know that the blob, the woke lefties, have scuppered it at source.
Actually, this could also be the beginning of the ice caps melting.
There's more. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and that would be because, not of global warming, that would be why the ice caps would melt, because the planet would be being subjected to more heat by the sun.
More magnetic rays, yeah. Okay, well, that's excellent, Carrie. I'm glad that you brought that up. This is an educational show, isn't it?
No.
0345 6060 973. Shashaf texts, you are incorrect. There are two countries I know of who sold their waters. The US allowed private corporations to buy water sources in several states, and Israel sold the delivery of water to private corporations. Yeah, that's not selling the water, though, is it? Delivery, I don't know nothing about Israel or what the US did, but they did not sell off their water like we did here. No country in the world has ever been so stupid as to sell their bloomin' water. If they could have sold our air by now, they would have done it. We'd all be walking around with gas masks on, attached to tanks on our backs, and they'd be metering how much we breathed. Cindy texts, milk is £1.19 here. Hey, you know what? I filled my car up last night and petrol was £1.67.
What?
£1.67 a litre. I never thought I'd see that again. It was £1.90 just the other day. What's happened in the meantime? 167. An amount which is known as still too bloomin' much. 0345 6060 973. I cannot go from the last call to Sophia in Bloomsbury. I just can't. Put a buffer in between them. Someone, anyone. Derek texts, whenever Surgical Trust becomes the new dear leader, it will be meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Rock and roll!
Yeah, actually worse. Hard to believe that that is the position that we find ourselves in after getting rid of...
Yeah. Wait a minute.
You know who? The comedy clown. We're actually about to get worse. It's going to be him, the worst part of him on steroids, but no comedy. Just all the nasty parts left in. Not even any, not a spoonful of sugar to make the medicine go down. Elitex mistrust use of the word handouts to help with the cost of living is truly offensive. It just shows what she thinks about hard-working people on low wages. Well, yes. I mean, that's the beauty of her and really the regime in general, that they just say the quiet part out loud, because nothing they've ever said or done has ever come with any significant, serious consequences. So they just don't have that voice in their head that says, shh, don't say that part. They just blurt it out. And that priceless story about them hauling the energy bosses in. And the result, Struth. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. Brussels. Estelle.
Hi, Nick. Again, it's Estelle in Brussels. I don't know. I was just saying to your researcher, I don't know. It's like, how mad is it? How mad is it now that the person that's like to be our next Prime Minister is talking about just randomly going, oh, yeah, they're anti-Semitic, and just calling that out? I mean, where's she got that from?
I don't know.
What is that?
I've got no idea. Apparently, the civil service is anti-Semitic. See, I thought that they were too lazy, idle, and woke to be bothered to be anti-Semitic.
I mean, quite, and then we have to sort of be calm down and sort of go and quite seriously think about what she's saying.
She's saying anything. She's saying absolutely anything. Well, yeah, but give her 10 seconds and she'll drop another accusation. They're all distraction bombs. It's Donald Trump all over. Just throw something out the window that people say, oh my God, did he just say that? And you're concentrating on that, as opposed to what you should be concentrating on, which is ambulances queuing outside your local NHS hospital because there aren't any beds or doctors or nurses or machines that go bing.
But, and I've sort of thought to myself, so, talk like soberly, what, step back and think, well, as much as we can, so I'm drinking a gin tonic, but, what is it? What is she observing that she's calling anti-Semitic? I find that really bizarre.
There doesn't have to be any truth to it. It doesn't have to make any sense at all. It's just another thing to distract, which is exactly what happened. People have fallen on that all day long and tried to decode it. What does she mean by that? Who are these anti-Semitic people? What is the makeup of this blob? These woke radical lefties that are stymieing the government at every juncture. It doesn't mean or signify anything. It's just another thing they say.
Yeah, and scary. I'm sitting here in Brussels. I mean, I'm literally sitting here on my balcony in Brussels, looking out and thinking with the heat. I mean, maybe it's the heat. I don't know, but and the irony is, of all the places you want to try to find a way to organise against anti-Semitism, the European Union, that's one of its best strengths, is that's what it's done. That was part of its that was part of its original purposes.
Yes, correct.
So it's like, so how do we?
Churchill was behind it.
How do we communicate?
The people that they profess to love the most.
But how do we communicate? How does that work? How do we? Is it?
The best way to communicate, the best way to communicate, Estelle, is to first not have so much gin,
booze,
and call me first thing in the morning. All right. Thanks a lot, Estelle. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbot, LBC.
Nick Abbot on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
You're wondering what it's all about, and I can't tell you because I don't know myself.
Hugh texts, this 3 years of Johnson has been horrific. At least we all can agree. A slack poor Boris, we knew him well. Oh, listener with material.
Oh, no.
Oh. Simon says, how much would milk cost if cows made minimum wage? Well, that is a good question. I bought 4 pints of milk last night. I thought it was going to be £1.86. It was £2.26.
What?
What happened there? £2.26. That's because militant lefty cows have demanded a pay raise. Grant Shapps is going to do for you, cows. Mary says, I would gladly have Ed Miliband back. I'm not feeling it with Keir. You hear this a lot, and you must believe it. You're keeping us sane. No, I'm not. Stop saying that. No, Ed Miliband, we can't have Ed Miliband as our leader because somebody once took a picture of him mid-chew of a sandwich. So that rules him out. As opposed to the kleptomaniacal catastrophic clown show over there.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
He's just fine. Islington. Hello, Maggie. Maggie. Out. Yes, Maggie. Too late. Let's have Beckenham. Stanley.
Oh, hello, young Nick. Now, listen up, mate. I just been listening to Carrie.
Yeah.
If I was to describe him as a trans-world airline tourist, euphemistically, he was a very euphemistic trans-world airline tourist. Have you got any...
What are you talking about? Trans-world airline tourist. Yeah, okay. Another listener with material. David texts, I've heard the answer to the water shortage problem is to dilute it. It's obvious, really, when you think about it. Yeah, that just makes perfect sense. Make the water go further by simply diluting it. How come people haven't figured out a way to concentrate water? I mean, it takes such an enormous amount of space to transport, and it's very, very heavy. You'd think somebody would have done something about that by now. Get that Carrie back on the phone. I'm sure they'll have some idea about doing just that. Philip says, if you're worried about where milk comes from, don't ask about eggs. Hey, I got a double yolker the other day. You know what that means? No, I got no idea either. Doesn't actually mean anything at all, other than you had a double yolk. It would have been 2 chooks for the price of 1. Lorraine says, with a hosepipe ban, can you still use a watering can? Yes, oddly, I believe that you can. Now, my question has always been, now, I haven't done this, but if you use a watering can and you go back and you fill it from the tap, and then you go back out and you spritz your plants, and then you go back and you fill it up with the tap, and then you do the same, and you're back and forth, can't you just cut out the back and forth part and take a hose down the bottom of the garden to where you need it and fill up the watering can with the hose? Because it's essentially the same thing as filling it up with a tap. It's just you haven't got to schlep back and forth all the time. Is that allowed? Somebody should look into that. Beckenham, Stanley. Oh no, I've done you already. I'll try Maggie again. See if she's paying attention. Maggie. No. Redhill. Nigel.
Oh, good evening, Nick.
Nigel.
Oh, yeah.
Good, thanks.
I heard you come in, you said about least trusted. You put a field full of solar panels is horrible, wasn't it? I'm still working on my system. I've got 3 systems, right? I haven't tested them all. I don't know if the bills are going to go sky high, and I think I can run most things on electric. I still think the bill's going to beat me, and I just wondered how you're doing with yours, because the way the prices are going up, I don't think I'll be able to compete with the bills with the system I've got.
I haven't got a system. What system? All the system I have is they ask me for money and I pay it. That's my system. What's your system?
I reckon I could generate about 5 kilowatts.
Yeah, but how?
Oh, well, I put all the solar panels out in the garden.
Solar panels around the garden?
And switch everything on. and then run everything to the appropriate pieces of equipment, like the radio and the lights, etc., etc. But it might be haphazard. But I haven't tested it yet. It's not costing me much as I'm doing the wiring myself. It's still under test.
Well, that sounds very dangerous, Nigel. Do you have any idea what you're doing?
I do. Oh, yes.
No. Why do you say that you seem very confident in your abilities to do electrical wiring? I would suggest that you get an expert.
I should consult a qualified electrician, as they say.
Right. Yeah. Or better still, employ one.
Yeah, right.
Don't consult one. Get one over to do it for you. Don't do it yourself. Get someone else to do it for you.
Understood.
All right. Good work there. Thanks a lot, Nigel. Does this show make any sense at all yet?
No.
Not really. Jen emails. The good news is, if Dizzy Lizzie gets to be PM, we won't have to worry about the cost of living. The bad news is because she'll probably cause World War III. Yes. I don't doubt it. Not for a second. This country's going down the drain. I mean, I cannot believe that those two, the gruesome twosome, are what we've got left. Those are the best of us, apparently. The best that the Conservative Party can provide. Those two. Dizzy and Lizzie. It's excruciating, ain't it? I mean, we're just standing by as though this has got nothing to do with us. As though it has no consequence to our lives, because we don't get no say. Tavistock. Hello, Rose.
Oh, Nick, hello, I'm on already.
Shall I put you on hold?
No.
Okay, then.
It's about last week. You said you liked the Lark Ascending by Vaughan Williams.
Oh, yeah, the Tweety Bird song.
The Tweety Bird song, yeah. Well, this is the funny thing, because I then discovered that that's being played on the 26th. Broadcast live on radio, so you get all the applause and everything. Played by a great Finnish violinist. Not only that, but the same programme is followed by a piece that the brochure says depicts a chorus of skylarks. And then, after the interval, there's Sibelius. And I just want to tell you this quick story about him. He was walking in the evening in the wilds of Finland, and he saw these 16 swans along the lake shore ahead. One evening, and after a bit, they suddenly all rose in the air. You know how birds can do that. They circled above him for a long time and then slowly flew towards the setting sun. And he watched them, transfixed. I've heard this story a couple of times. Transfixed until they gradually disappeared into the sunset. And he never forgot it. And he wrote, "Dear God, what beauty." And he depicted these 16 swans in the finale of a symphony that is on that concert, the 5th. And I just thought you'd like that beautiful story.
Well,
and I thought the concert is a bit of a cornucopia of birds, really, isn't it?
A cornucopia. Excellent use of the C word. It's like an overflowing basket of birds. Lovely.
Thank you.
I'll stick it in my diary, Rose. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
26.
The 26 radio. That's 4 days after my you know what. Not that I'm shouting about it or anything. Cheers, Rose. Adam says water was actually interviewed today, and when asked why it's in such short supply, it replied, "I have been very clear." Less material, people. I mean it. John says, as everyone seems quite happy now that Bodger is finally gone, perhaps we could have a double act running the country. Liz and Rishi. It sounds good, doesn't it? No. No. A straight woman and a hopeless hero, a bit like Laurel and Hardy, says John. Okay, like to talk about your coalition of chaos. I mean, could it actually get any worse? Well, actually, I think it could get worse. It could just be Liz on her own. How is she about to be our next leader? How is this? What? How? Why is this happening to us? What have we done to deserve this? I keep asking this question, but nobody comes up with the answer. Why is this happening to us? 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Hot air. H-O-T-A-I-R.
Right, so what we do?
Given we're doing a radio show, Man United lost 4-0 to who? Wow. Yeah, but it's all credit to the lads, and it's all credit to the manager, and it's all credit to the fans, and it's all credit to the manager and the fans and the lads. Isabel says, have I taken my medication too early, or are all tonight's callers off the wall?
Yes.
To both. Yes, you may have taken your medication too early, and all of tonight's callers are off the wall. Michelle says, I read somewhere that EDF wants to sue the French government. Not happy bunnies, please research. I most certainly will do nothing of the sort. Kathy texts, animals in the extreme hot weather, please kindly remind people to leave a little water out for our wildlife. Well, I suppose. I mean, you could put water out and then police which animals it is that takes it. Tweety birds, they're just fine. Other animals, not to be encouraged, I don't think. You know, text, just when you think the Tories have run out of things to sell off, they went for free ports. Chunks of the country are for... Chunks of the country are for rent or sale. Everything's for sale. This entire country's got a going out of business sign on it. Hammersmith, Grish.
Yes. Hello, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yes, this political situation, so to speak, with this so-called Prime Minister, so-called Boris Johnson, I'm so glad that he has gone, to be honest with you.
He ain't gone yet.
Well, he's not gone. Well, he's on his way. And they've got this new voting for the new someone to take his place. Am I correct?
Is this a listener with material? Am I correct?
Well, from what I'm aware, he's resigned. He's gone.
All right.
Well, I mean, am I correct? I don't pay close attention to the news, but there's the scandals that occurred in the past. With this the journalist woman. This guy's an awful person. Last 2 years, the mismanagement of all this corona. You don't have an idea anything that's going on.
Okay, all right. Thanks for the news, Grish. I don't know. I'm going to use my gut instincts.
Warning.
I'm going to just go ahead and do it. Thanks a lot, Grish, for whatever that was. Keen not to find out. Afzal emails. Hang on. Afzal emails, I feel sorry for maths professor John Truss. He's had to endure his daughter Liz since she was born. Yeah, not happy family, apparently. Rob texts, how have we arrived at this? Little Miss Smug is going to be our dear leader and the people have no say. I don't know, Rob, how it's come to this. I really don't know. They keep changing their leader like most people change their underwear. Once every 3 years, whether we need it or not. And we just got to sit here and take it. Thank you, sir. May I have another? There'll be another one popping up any moment now. Ruth says, I'm in the southwest of France, so 35 to 40 degrees every day. So I leave water out and the birds flock to it, as do wasps and lizards. You wouldn't think wasps and lizards get thirsty, but they do. Well, of course they do. Everything lives on water, apart from the things that live in water. Chertsey. Hello, Tony.
Hi there, Nick. Nick, I was wondering, were you saying earlier that you were thinking that petrol costs too much?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what you need is something that does more miles to the gallon. I'm looking at a machine at the moment that does about 1,000 miles to the gallon.
1,000 miles to the gallon?
Yeah.
What, that runs on petrol?
Yeah.
They're not electricity?
No, not electricity.
It does 1,000 miles to the gallon?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
And it doesn't run on electricity, just petrol?
Yeah.
And it's a vehicle?
It is, yeah.
With more than one seat?
No, only one seat.
Oh, just one seat. Does it come with a steel cage around it to protect you from the weather?
No, not that either.
Has it got a radio in it?
Well, yes, it can have, yeah.
It can have a radio in it?
Yeah, you can carry a radio. Yeah.
Carry a radio? Oh, well, you see, that's different. Is it built into the dash?
No, there is no dash.
Is there a stereo system in there that can shake the foundations of buildings?
Well, not quite, no. This is more along the lines of a crystal set, so you can just hear it. But just hear it is enough.
Right.
And
well,
surely
I don't like the sound of any of that. That sounds awful.
Don't you?
What is it?
Oh, a bike.
A bike?
With a small motor on it.
There ain't no bike that's ever been made that does 1,000 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, there is. I'm looking at one now. It's got a 27cc engine.
How many?
And 27.
I've got one of those in my food mixer.
Right, have you? Ah, yeah. I remember Jeremy Clarkson on his show, the Top Gear, coupling up a V8
I remember
to
that
a food
too.
mixer.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of that then?
It went about as well as every other experiment they've ever done.
Yeah. Very, very, very pleasant and humorous, though. I think he has, or they have, Hammond, May and him, have a unique way of looking at things. Or maybe it's their producers as well.
Well, I think Jeremy Clarkson has a unique way of looking at things, and a unique way of writing a script that the others just play along with and adopt their chosen roles. I haven't watched that show in a good long while, but it just became very, 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 very repetitive. You knew what they were going to do. In every subsequent minute, you thought, well, here comes the bit where one of them puts a kipper in the heating system,
Yeah, all those schoolboy tricks. Yeah, but it was entertaining though. I thought it was probably one of the best things that the BBC have ever done.
Yeah, I wouldn't dispute that.
All right. Okay, I was going to ask you, Nick, this is what I'd cleared with your producer, whether you'd thought about my idea for a shiny new aqueduct from up north, where there's loads of water, to down here, where there isn't so much.
Well, could we not just put it in a pipe? Better.
No. See, you can't sort of sail boats in a pipe, whereas you can in an aqueduct. That's what I was thinking would be a good idea.
It could be like one of those fairground things where you just climb to the top of this scaffolding and then launch yourself down a tube to get squirted out the bottom end, like that.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
You could climb in Glasgow and get blasted out into the middle of Brixton or something like that.
Love it. A bit like on The In-Betweeners. Do you remember that scene?
No, I don't, no.
Oh, right. Have you ever watched any of The In-Betweeners?
Well, I have, yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was it amused me at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that they had some good ideas and some good acting.
Right. Let's talk more about old TV shows that people haven't perhaps seen. All right, I got to go. Thanks a lot, Tony. Is it me? Or I think there's the sun. You know what? I think it's the moon and the sun in conjunction with the other planets that has affected this show. See a previous caller for full details. Hey, this show gets stuck up the internet as a podcast. It's called Nick Abbot, The Whole Show. It's on Global Player. Now, if you haven't got Global Player, then you absolutely should stick it up your life. It's available for Apple and Android. Works on your phone and your PC and your laptop and any kind of device that you can imagine. Global Player, it's got all of the stations that we do and all of the podcasts as well, including the 3 that I do. But this show, the Friday and the Saturday night shows, get put up the internet. We take the news and the ads out, which means it takes less time to listen to. You'll use less electricity. And by this time next year, you'll have saved up enough to buy a cardboard box to live in. You're welcome. Ask for it by name on Global Player, Nick Abbot, The Whole Show. Let's have Weymouth. Patricia.
Hello, good evening. Oh, yeah, well, I'm 82 today. It's been my birthday, and I've forgotten their names now. So
You're
I've got a bit
82 years
I'm
old.
82 today, yes. But what I would like to say, which is winding me up a lot, and you could say I'm an embittered old widow, I think that Liz Truss thinks that she's a model on the catwalk, she's going to be useless, and Rishi Sunak, he would probably spend what I earn in a month with my old age pension and all my tax deductions.
Yeah.
He would spend that on a night out, possibly. I would like him to live on what I've got to live, pay my council tax, my lecky, and everything, and a lot of other old age pensioners, not just me. I think it's evil what they're doing to us. We've worked all our lives, paid everything, paid national health. I know we get our state pension, but the tax that you pay because you have got an occupational pension is absolutely disgraceful. And I am fuming about it. It's worried me and it's made me really ill this week. I have this year, and I have been on a nervous breakdown, but I'm getting better.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, Patricia.
I'm facing it.
The reason, all right, I get it. The reason that they're doing it to you is because people such as yourself insist on voting Conservative. They know that they have your.
I've never voted. I've never
they
voted
know
Conservative.
they have your vote in the bank.
Excuse me, I have never voted Conservative in my life, and my father was a strong Labour man.
I didn't say you. I said people like you.
Right. Oh, right. Well, I have never voted Conservative
I believe
in my life.
that is true. You don't have to convince me.
She is a stupid woman. She nearly got us on the brink of a war with Russia. A stupid thing she said. She thinks she's a model on a catwalk. Get off it and get on with your life. And David Davis should have been a candidate for this.
Oh, please. David Davis, so great they named him twice. A man who's never been right about anything his entire life. Are you kidding me?
Sorry. Oh, well, sorry. Well,
David Davis, I thought you didn't vote Conservative.
No, I don't. But out of the lot of them, I thought he was like the most sensible one. I don't know. I'm not really.
Option.
I do not really understand politics. I'm an old lady, and
don't do yourself down, really, Patricia. You understand. You understand it just fine. There ain't nothing you need to know about.
I don't like these two, but that Rishi Sunak, if he could live off of what pensioners have got, and my tax code has gone from 733L down to 29L this year.
I have no idea what that means, and neither does Rishi Sunak, and he couldn't care less. Patricia, I'm going to have to go, but thanks very much. Cheers, my dear. Couldn't care less. Not me, them. What do you think, Liz?
That is a disgrace.
You're a disgrace, Patricia. According to Liz. A direct quote. But I do wish you a happy birthday. Not like by the sounds of it, there was much happy about it. But never mind. Better luck next year. 0345 6060 973. But don't worry, because the energy bosses have been hauled in to number 10. And I'll get to that in a minute. Hauled. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
That is a disgrace.
A disgrace. Jeff emails, you're complaining that Starmer is not more... I think these are still text and emails from last night. He says, you are, as in were, complaining that Starmer is not more like Corbyn. I don't think I did. Because Corbyn did so well in the election, says Jeff. I think Jeff is being sarcastic. Well, he didn't do that bad. I mean, people are talking about it like it was the worst result that's ever seen in the history of mankind. I mean, what did Boris Johnson get to get his record-breaking, stonking majority? It was about 46%, right? Well, Jeremy Corbyn got 40. It's not that far off, is it? 0345 6060 973. Sleaford. Hello, Steve.
Hello, Nick.
Steve?
The full moon. That's what it is. The full moon.
Well,
Everybody's
yeah,
going
no
crazy.
doubt. That's right.
It's the gravitational thing that goes on. I'm convinced of it. I never make a serious decision whenever there's a full moon.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with
I'll put it off
gravity.
for a week.
The moon is still all there, whether you can see it or
Of
not.
course it is.
It doesn't increase the gravity.
Aye, but it affects the tide. So
It doesn't.
But
It doesn't, though. How can it?
Does it not? I thought it did an opposite to the sun thing, where it stretches it like a balloon.
Well, the moon has an effect on the tide, but whether it's full or not, don't make no never mind, because the moon is
I know.
it's still all there, whether we can see it or not.
Yeah, you're right, but they do say that it's the lunar effect. You know, like which is where the word lunatic came from.
Yeah.
We're going back hundreds of years.
Well, that's because the reason
Yeah.
for that is that they didn't used to have streetlights back then, and the full well, if that's true, a full moon would illuminate the land at night, allowing people, night creatures, to march about the place and create havoc. But it doesn't. It's no difference now because it's always light outside because we've got street lamps and torches and all of the rest.
Yeah, but
of it.
what I'm saying is about the mentality, the mental disturbing side of it. You know, where people.
Yes, but
go
the
a bit
reason
crazy.
for that is, as I said, because the night was illuminated by a full moon, allowing people to go out after dark. We don't
What a
have
new
that
crazy
now.
thing.
We don't have that now, so there shouldn't be no effect on people's behaviour. It's just that we're primed to think that there would be, so we ascribe any bizarre behaviour to a full moon. Whereas if it happened when it wasn't a full moon, people wouldn't think, it's got anything to do with the moon at all. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I see what you're saying.
Luna, 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 luna.
Rock and roll!
Go on.
Good man. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Steve. 0345 6060 973. Underworld. Wayne texts, if a large number of people in this country can't pay their energy bills, their credit score will be damaged, so they then can't buy anything on credit, which means that companies will do less business and it can damage the economy. Well, that's a good point. Yeah, it will affect your credit score. But I wonder if, and I'm not suggesting that you do this, but I wonder if millions of people all decided not to pay their bills at the same time, would the credit companies actually be able to keep up? And they were all, shall I do this now? All right then. Fat cat energy bosses were hauled into Downing Street this week. Hauled. An emergency meeting attended by Boris Johnson, if you can believe that. But as it was a Boris Johnson-led business meeting, they had a disco nap beforehand and bought their own booze. What a headline, though. Fat cat energy bosses are hauled into Downing Street. Hauled. Great word, that. I mean, as though Bodger had got them around their scruff of the neck and lifted them crying into number 10. Hauled. They weren't hauled. And they didn't get a dressing down. They were asked, pretty please with sugar on top, would you mind coming in for a cosy chat? If it wouldn't affect the amounts of any possible future donations to any particular political party. And thank you very much for your consideration. Hauled. He begged them, and some of them ambled along. And when they went in, by the way, they were making £3 billion a day in pure profit. That's £125 million an hour, tax-free. That's £2 million a minute. And when they came out, they were still making that amount. Except their prospects of future profitability were increased because when they went in, we were looking at a fuel cap of $4,200 a year. And when they came out, it was £5,000 a year.
What?
So well done, Bodge. That'll teach them. But, give him credit. He is still the Prime Minister of this country, and he took a break from taking a break and actually showed up for a meeting. So, small steps, Bodge.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Small steps. Probably because it was held downstairs from where he is actually living. He might have just been looking for a bottle opener.
Booze.
Stumbled into the meeting. Decided to stay to see what it was about. Check out if there was any hot Tory totty there. Bodge? Yes. So they informed their mates in the press that they were hauling the energy companies in. kidding on that they were going to read them the Riot Act, and ended up giving them the thumbs up to charge us more. Can you believe it? And the meeting ended with no plan being agreed outside of vague promises that companies would continue working together with the government to help struggling households. Continue working together? How's that going, by the way?
Oh, fabulous.
And they were entered, pictured entering number 11, the energy bosses. Michael Lewis was there, the £1 million a year CEO of E.ON. Jonathan Brearley, £300,000 in pay and perks. He's the lead regulator of Ofgem, which sets the price cap. He was also in attendance. 300 grand to run Ofgem. I mean, they have to pay such large amounts because they need to attract the brightest talents. I mean, what does he do? During the meeting, Chancellor Nadeem Zahawi made clear that ministers would continue to evaluate the extraordinary profits of energy firms and the appropriate and proportionate steps to take. Nadeem Zahawi was very clear that the government was going to continue to evaluate the situation. Doesn't that make you feel better?
No.
Zahawi said he's using the threat of toughened up windfall taxes to persuade energy firms to invest in more renewable energy. Yeah, he could punish them with one of his speeches.
So obviously,
he could bore them to death. Toughened up windfall taxes, please. The fuel companies weren't touched by any windfall tax, and any amount the government give us, of our own money, of course, is just going to go straight to those very energy companies as a subsidy for being so kind as to make a killing from us. I mean, they're not even trying to hide it. The actual boss of BP, a man called Mr. Looney, I kid you not, doubled his pay to £4.46 million and said his company had become a cash machine. They're saying the quiet part out loud. And we're invited by mistrust to think that windfall taxes are not the way and they disincentivize investment. Well, they've got the money and there is no investment in anything that won't make them more money. And what they've got is being spent on executives for excellence in showing up to the office and the shareholders who are mostly already very rich. What are they talking about? You can't have windfall taxes because it disincentivizes investment. No, it doesn't. And don't be taken in by that nonsense, by the way, about shareholders being pension funds. Pension funds don't hold many shares. About 6% of UK shares in total. It's not your poor pensioner that's making money from the vast amounts of profits that these fuel companies make. I mean, it's hard to believe that the man that has been most vocal about this is somebody who's in our rearview mirror. You remember Gordon Brown? Yeah, him. Well, it turns out he's the only politician that's not on holiday. Gordon Brown said the government should pause any further increase in the cap on bills and negotiate lower rates with each individual company after examining their balance sheets. He said ministers should temporarily nationalise any providers that go bust. Yeah. Why aren't people doing that? Because they're busy yelling at unisex toilets. Gordon Brown said time and tide wait for no one, neither do crises. They don't take holidays. I think he's talking about you, Bodge.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
They don't take holidays and they don't politely hang fire, certainly not to suit the convenience of a departing PM and the whims of two potential successors. So said Gordon Brown. He said that Britain should spearhead the international response to the crisis with an emergency G20 meeting. He said British ministers, and no one has yet grasped this, should also be leading the way in demanding coordinated international action with emergency G20 early in September to address the fuel, food, inflation and debt emergencies. These are global problems that can only be fully addressed by a globally coordinated solution. Or as Liz Truss would say, more tax cuts for the rich. I mean, what else is in her mind? You've got tax cuts for the rich and nothing else. Gordon Brown called for the Tory leadership contenders to set aside their differences and work on an emergency plan with Boris Johnson. Yeah, that's what they'll do. They'll put aside their differences and park their yearning for more power and act in the interests of the nation. Funny, no? A survey released this week by Uswitch suggests that households are already getting in mountain debt with energy suppliers, even before the energy price cap's lifted. It's bad now, just wait. It's estimated 6 million homes across the UK collectively owe around £1.3 billion to energy firms. That's over £200 each on average, 3 times higher than a year ago. And bills have just gone up a little bit at the moment. They're about to go up stratospherically. Just wait. And a government spokesman said, "We have been very clear that..." And then everything they said after that phrase you can ignore because it's all lies. Whenever you hear that phrase, "we have been very clear that," just ignore everything they say after that. It's all lies. What a way to run a country, eh? 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 11:30.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott.
Hang about, Nick. Listen. Now, what I'm trying to say to you is this, Nick, right?
Sue texts on the subject of water. I know we can't drink seawater, says Sue, but couldn't we use it for baths and gardens, etc.? We do swim in the sea and fish live in the sea, and don't we own a bit of the ocean? Well, I think the Queen owns like the coast out to a certain amount, which is why she's really, really keen on sea-based windmills. Because, all of that hot, delicious money. But other than that, yeah, we do own a bit of the sea bed, not necessarily the ocean itself, but I think it's the bed part. We can't lay claim to the water, but we could use salt water to wash, I suppose. Could we?
Sự nghiệp trong người thắp sáng một niềm tin, có một nghề đưa lớp lớp thế hệ học sinh cập bên bờ vinh quang phía trước, có một nghề trao niềm mơ ước, chắp cánh tương lai cho đất nước mạnh giàu, có một nghề trao